welcome. President Buhari vows to continue to deal with bandits, insurgents and kidnappers as northern governors, traditional leaders meet in Kaduna. Niger State Governor laments abandonment by federal government in efforts to rescue 41 Kagara school kidnap victims. National Security Advisor raises concern over threats to national security by 5G communication network. And US set to release result of investigation into murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Plus we'll have business, sports, and later on international news from our London studios.
On business news tonight, federal government concludes plan to hire asset manager for new multi-billion-dollar infrastructure company of Nigeria.
And on sports news tonight, Arsenal edge out Benfica to advance to the round of 16 in the UEFA Europa League in Greece.
And from Abuja, Nigerian Air Force pays last respect to officers who died in last Sunday's ill-fated plane crash as they are buried in Abuja.
There will be no softening of the ongoing measures aimed at tackling insurgents, bandits and kidnappers and other criminals posing a threat to innocent citizens across the country. This is the warning coming from the President through his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, during a security meeting of Northern State Governors Forum and traditional rulers in Kaduna State. President Muhammadu Buhari admitted that the country is battling with different dimensions of security challenges, but added that he has asked the new service chiefs to devise new strategies that will end the ugly situation. Meanwhile, the northern governors have resolved to partner with the federal government and their southern counterparts to tackle the challenges.
This meeting is coming at a time when the nation is making steady progress in addressing the many challenges impeding development and progress. My administration is providing critical infrastructure such as roads, railroads, airports, among others, increasing power supply and other factors that are critical to economic prosperity of our people, as well as opening up economic opportunities for our citizens to pursue their legitimate aspirations that grow the economy and to do so freely anywhere in the country. At the same time, we are confronting the various dimensions of security challenges that continue to slow down the emancipation of our people from poverty and economic deprivation. The government will continue to deal with insurgents, bandits, kidnappers, and other criminals who constitute a threat to innocent citizens across the country. Criminals are criminals and should be dealt with accordingly without resort to ethnic profiling. The President says he has already tasked the new service chiefs to devise new strategies and come up with plans that will end this ugly situation where the lives of our people continue to be threatened by hoodlums and criminals. I expect that at this meeting, your forum will also discuss and devise ways of building stronger collaboration with the security architecture, the security personnel, and the people in defeating terrorism, banditry, and criminality across the region and the nation as a whole. It is pertinent to note that the increased realization of our security, democracy, and development indices are inextricably linked, because without peace, there can be no sustainable development. And without development, there will be no durable peace either. And democracy and the rule of law promotes stability and in turn reinforces the power to assert freedom and economic progress of our people, all of them.
And while those efforts are on, it appears there's no help in sight yet for the 41 persons abducted from Government Science College, Kagara. And that's the impression given by the governor of Niger State, Abubakar Bello, who says he's frustrated over what he calls lack of support from the federal government. According to him, the federal government has not supported the state in their efforts to rescue 27 students and 14 others abducted from the school.
At the moment, we do not feel any federal presence here. Yes, I agreed. The Inspector General of Police sent us 4 mobile units, but we have to shoulder all the financial responsibilities. So where is the support? There is no support from anyone. Yes, we had a delegation that came to visit, conversate with us. Finish. So we're left to ourselves. Be it as it may, we have already made a commitment to naturalize that will bring their children back home safely, with or without anyone. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll ensure the safe return of these kids soon, using whatever means available within our resources.
Meanwhile, the coalition of northern groups says it aligns completely with the position of the Islamic scholar Sheikh Ahmad Gumi on the need to grant bandits amnesty. The group also says it supports the decision of the Amalgamated Union of Foodstuff and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria to suspend movement of goods to the south as a way to press for compensation for losses suffered by its members. The spokesperson of the group, Mr. Abdulaziz Sulaiman, stated this during a news conference in Abuja.
We align directly with Sheikh Ahmed Gumi's position with regards to constructive engagement, opportunity for amnesty leading to reorientation, reintegration, and reassimilation of those who embrace peace within a reasonable time frame, after which resort can be made to force in crushing the recalcitrant ones. It is important to place on record that all those working against the proposal for engagement towards peaceful resolution of the conflict by singling Sheikh Ahmed Gumi for attacks and irreverent treatment are those who directly benefit from the conflict through proceeds from the supply of arms and drugs, or remotely in the hope of riding to power on its back.
Well, in other quarters, there are calls for peace as the Bayelsa State Governor, Doye Diri, has waded in the war of words between the governors of Bauchi and Benue states and says the recent altercation between the governors is very disturbing. Governor Diri called on the leadership of the PDP to intervene and ensure that the matter is resolved. He was speaking during a courtesy visit to Governor Bala Mohammed at the Bauchi State Government House.
The raging current issue between two brother governors of the same party. May I seize this opportunity to advise and call on both of you who are members of our great party to please cease further actions and reactions on the burning national security issues. May I also use the opportunity to call on our party to immediately intervene and resolve whatever issues that are still yet unresolved amicably as a party and as brothers.
In his response, Governor Mohammed promised to cooperate and reduce the tension, and he gave the assurance that no word will be heard from him on the matter again. He also seized the opportunity to apologize to all governors, the National Assembly, his constituency, and all Nigerians.
There is no disharmony between me and my brother and my friend in Benue. We were just having the courage to discuss a burning national issue, and I'm happy that Nigerians have the opportunity to discuss this issue, and we are going to do everything on my own part to make sure we de-escalate the issue in a manner that it will not bring injury to our party and to our national unity. I was not doing anything or in any way to insult or to cause any injury to my brother and bros, that my friend and brother, that we have worked together at the cabinet and now as governors. And I want to use this opportunity to apologize to my various constituencies, especially the National Assembly, if what I said, the truth, has injured their sensibilities or it has touched on their privilege, as we used to say in parliamentary parlance. I was doing it out of the streak of nationalism and patriotism. At the same time, the governors, if they feel that what I said was also injurious to them, I apologize to them and feel sorry for them. And indeed, all Nigerians. But I have seen the discussion. But certainly, as I said, my brother, I have no apology for saying the truth, but certainly sometimes you will say the truth and it will be injurious.
Staying with security in northern Nigeria, Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State has received weapons and ammunition surrendered by 3 repentant bandits. And this is coming on the heels of a peace deal he initiated to end insecurity and guarantee safety of lives in Zamfara State. The 3 bandits were led by Muhammad Sani, the son of another notorious bandit, Buharin Daji, believed to have been killed by security operatives a few years ago. Governor Matawalle believes his reconciliation and dialogue initiative is for the benefit of the country and not Zamfara State alone.
We are doing this dialogue with all sincerity. And God, in His infinite mercy, is giving us success each and every day. Anybody who sees what these young guys present to the government today, he will now understand and he will agree with the government on our mission of peace accord with these guys. Because these caches of ammunition is already in the bush for long, but with all the engagement by our security agencies, we are still having this kind of sophisticated weapons in the hand of the bandits.
In the meantime, 48 suspects arrested for various crimes such as kidnapping, armed robbery, cybercrime and cattle rustling have been paraded by the police in the nation's capital, Abuja. The force public relations officer, Mr. Frankenbach, says the 47 males and 1 female were arrested in different parts of the country. Some of the suspects include the leader of an armed robbery gang allegedly responsible for the attack and theft of a rifle from 2 police officers around Abuja. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, is calling for unity irrespective of the challenges that have faced the country in recent times. Mr. Malami, who was speaking at a book launch on law practices in Abuja, said that the country would remain as one, according to the Constitution.
Recent events orchestrated by the few unscrupulous and unpatriotic people cannot and will not undermine the constitutional status of Nigeria as a sovereign, united democracy and nation. It is instructive in this instance to remind us of the provision of Section 2, subsection 1 of the Constitution of Nigeria 1999, which stipulates that Nigeria is one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign state to be known by the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Subsection 2 also states that Nigeria shall be a federation consisting of states and federal capital territory. In light of this, there can be no better unifying index underpinning national unity than our Constitution. The significance of the public presentation of the book should be seen more of an academic and legal investment for posterity to continue to benefit from the pool of scholarship that comprises the different chapters of the book. The advancement of knowledge is what will significantly propel Nigeria into a knowledge-based economy.
In part 2 of the break, Nigerian Air Force pays last respects to officers who died in last Sunday's ill-fated plane crash as they are buried in Abuja. That's in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Buhari vows to continue to deal with bandits, insurgents and kidnappers as northern governors, traditional leaders meet in Kaduna. Niger State Governor laments abandonment by federal government in efforts to rescue 41 Kagara school kidnapped victims. National Security Advisor warns against 5G network, raises concern over threats to national security. And US set to release result of investigation into murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Discussions on the status of the fifth generation communication network in the country and its impact on residents today shifted to the Senate, where the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy emphasized the benefits of the technology. Dr. Issa Pantami said studies from the World Health Organization and international telecommunications unions have shown that there are no adverse health effects from its use. However, the Office of the National Security Advisor expressed concern over the 5G technology, saying it could be used for spying and hacking. Our correspondent Linda Akiwe reports.
During the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, unsubstantiated theories were widespread linking COVID-19 to 5G technology. On May 5, 2020, the Senate directed a joint committee to investigate the status of 5G in Nigeria and its technological impact on residents. The joint committee is holding a public hearing to find out the true status of 5G network in the country and ensure that Nigerians are not exposed to unreasonable risk of bodily harm from the technology. It is assembling authorities in the fields of telecommunication, intelligence and security to discuss the 5G phenomenon.
The whole truth.
The Minister of Communications appeals to Nigerians to disregard the myths surrounding 5G and be assured that the federal government would not introduce technology which would be dangerous to citizens.
Whether it has any negative impact on our citizens. When it comes to health issue, our investigation here in Nigeria did not show any negative impact. When it comes to global position, as I said, this is a paper published by WHO. It is available online in their website. They clearly stated that to date, and after much research performed, no adverse health effect has been causally linked with exposure to wireless technologies. The radiation of 4G that we are all using here is more harmful than that of the 5G. The radiation of microwave oven at home that our family cooks food for us is more harmful than that of the 5G.
We were contacted at the Office of National Security Advisor.
A representative of the Office of a National Security Advisor, however, warns that the deployment of 5G network could be a threat to national security in the hands of criminals.
But we are concerned about the deliberate vulnerabilities and backdoors within the 5G network equipment. That's one of the key concerns we have. And this will make the infrastructure highly susceptible to eavesdropping, tracking, cyber attacks, military-industrial espionage, and other malicious activities by foreign actors.
He explains that the Office of a National Security Advisor has shared its fears with the Nigerian Communications Commission during its initial trial of the technology in the country and expects that the concerns will be properly addressed in the draft national policy. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Gloria Umezuke. Gloria.
Hello, Ijoma. Welcome to Abuja. It has been an emotional moment as the bodies of the 7 officers who died in a plane crash on Sunday while on an intelligence and reconnaissance mission to Minna, Niger State, are laid to rest. The burial, which took place at the military cemetery in the nation's capital, was attended by wives and children of the officers and other relatives, as well as top military officers and government officials.
It's a day of sorrow and tears as the Nigerian Air Force buries 7 of its officers at the military cemetery in Abuja. The arrival of the Minister of Defense and other service chiefs signaled the commencement of the event. Taking his message from the Book of Lamentations, the chaplain of the Nigerian Air Force encourages the wives, children, and family members of the departed officers to look up to God.
The Commander-in-Chief and the President of our country is in pain. The nation as a whole is in pain. How could these gallant, vibrant, young, promising young men pass away this way? It is a moment of darkness and gloom. It is a moment of cry. It is a moment that only God himself can reach us.
In an emotion-laden voice, the Chief of the Air Staff salutes the supreme sacrifice of the young officers.
These intelligent and disciplined young officers and airmen lead their quota of ongoing surveillance mission in the northeast, northwest, and more recently in the north central over Niger State and its environment, in connection with the concerted effort to secure the release of the staff and students abducted from the Government Science College, Kagara, Niger State. The loss of these confident, courageous, professional young officers and airmen must call us not to only rededicate ourselves to the service of our nation, but also to resolve that we must relentlessly expose and fight all agents of destabilization and extremism in our society.
A minute's silence is observed.
To so rest in perfect peace. May we please have our seats. Thank you.
One after the other, the bodies of the late officers are lowered into their graves amidst tears and wailing by family members. With the bodies committed to Mother Earth, wreaths are laid, followed by the firing of 21-gun salute. Like a bad dream, grieving family members, officers, friends, and colleagues depart the National Military Cemetery as the late officers begin their final journey to their Creator.
The President has met with the newly confirmed Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdulrashid Bawa, at the State House. Although details of the meeting is not made public, but it is not unconnected with the new task before Mr. Bawa, who was screened and confirmed by the Senate as the Chairman of the EFCC yesterday. While defending his competence to lead the anti-graft agency's task of ridding Nigeria of corruption, the 40-year-old Bawa had told the lawmakers that he is the first chairman of the commission to emerge from outside the police force. He replaces Mr. Ibrahim Magu, who headed the EFCC in acting capacity until his suspension and subsequent probe by a presidential investigation panel. A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed the fresh bill application filed by a former chairman of the defunct Pension Reform Task Team, PRTT, Abdulrasheed Maina, on the grounds that it lacks merit. Ruling on the application, Justice Okonabang said that it was at the court's discretion to grant bail. The ex-pension reform boss did not deserve a fresh bill after jumping the first bill. The judge said Mr. Maina did not place sufficient materials before the court to convince the court that he deserves the second bill, as he insists that the medical report brought before the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital showed that Mr. Maina was not under any medical emergency. Justice Abang further said that Mr. Maina was not only a flight risk, but a proven one, having fled to the Republic of Niger and Chad in violation of the court order. The judge also refused to grant Maina's application for an order directing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to release his confiscated property, including a BMW car. The Imo State High Court in Owerri has ordered an interim forfeiture of all of the properties said to be illegally acquired by former governor of the state, Rochas Okorocha, while he was in office from 2011 to 2019. Justice Fred Njemanze gave the order following an application brought by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Louis Anlozie, on behalf of the state government. Some of the properties listed in the suit include the Eastern Palm University, Ogboko, the controversial Royal Spring Palm Hotels and Apartments, IBC staff quarters said to have been illegally acquired for the purpose of Rochas Foundation College, Owerri, magistrate quarters, amongst others. The suit had Senator Okorocha's wife, Nkechi, incorporated trustees of Rochas Foundation, and Senator Okorocha himself as the first, second, and third respondents against the Attorney General of the state. When the news at 10 returns, Finance Minister insists Nigeria cannot effectively make progress until it borrows to fund infrastructure projects and plans to scale up revenue. That's in business news. Please join us again.
Welcome back to the news at 10. The Senate has denied reports that it issued a bench warrant for the arrest of the Chief Executive of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Dr. Efio Akwa. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Niger Delta Affairs, Peter Nwobochi, explains that it is not true, but the Senate will still investigate the issues connected with the NDDC COVID-19 palliative funds. He was speaking during an oversight function with other members of the committee at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
These are members of the Senate Committee on Niger Delta Affairs at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. They're here on an oversight function and also to clear the air on the alleged issuance of bench warrants on the sole administrator.
I want to say that no bench warrant has been issued on the chairman. Because we are prepared to cooperate with him. If he has committed any offense, we are ready to talk with him. But that is not to say that the investigation on the palliatives will not be done.
The NDDC sole administrator who received the August visitors commended them for their support towards the development of the Niger Delta region.
These are the people that hold the pulse, they feel the pulse of their people. And so when they speak, they are not speaking as individuals, they are speaking as representatives, true representatives of the people. And so when they spoke, their mind, it's like people misinterpreted them. And for that reason, the region could not move forward for about a year.
After the talk, the team inspects the newly constructed NDDC building.
Yes. So the people in the first, second floor don't need to take it.
Like the administrator has done well. First thing you need is peace for any development to take place. He has been able to reach out and has gotten a truce between the people of the stakeholders, the National Assembly, and the NDDC.
Yes, we have embarked on peace tour. We've also embarked on engagement with the stakeholders, particularly the state governors. You know, the governors are very crucial. They are chief security officers in their respective states, and they know where the people, they know areas of concentration, areas that the people require assistance.
The Senate Committee chairman assures that they would continue to collaborate with the interim administrator and the NDDC for as long as he remains chief executive officer of the commission.
Let's take another look at security now. Terrorist group Boko Haram has released a video in which it claims responsibility for Tuesday's attack on Maiduguri. In the video, a voice said to be that of Abubakar Shekau can be heard in Hausa applauding the attack, in which at least 10 people were killed and about 50 others injured, including children. The voice states, I have received the heartwarming news of what our boys accomplished in Maiduguri town. That's worthy of commendation, but I know it will infuriate the infidels, followers of Western democracy. He describes comments about the group being vanquished or subdued as lies, adding, don't count yourself a Muslim simply because you pray the Salat and give in charity. No, so long as you embrace Western values, you are not one of us. We will not be on the same page until you truly submit to Allah. He also denied owning a farm, saying news about his farm being taken over by security forces is false. The Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, says the Southwest is ready to hold its Congress, but cautions the National Working Committee of the PDP not to derail the process. At a news conference in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, Governor Makinde asked the National Working Committee of the party to call the legal advisor to order concerning the Southwest Congress.
I specifically put on notice that the National Legal Advisor of PDP has not done well with the Southwest Zonal Congress. How can you file a case and then you instruct legal representation for the plaintiff and also for the defendant? I don't think that is acceptable. And we expect the National Working Committee of the party to deal with that decisively. And if the National Working Committee, decide to postpone the Zonal Congress for a reason that is acceptable to everybody, we work with them. There are some of us in that party that we are bent on taking the party to take its rightful position, to get the party ready, for the leadership of the country, and we will fight those reactionary elements until they are defeated within the party.
The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, believes that Nigeria cannot effectively make progress unless it borrows to fund the building of its infrastructure. She said this while responding to criticism regarding high levels of borrowing by the country at the State House. Mrs. Ahmed adds that the nation's borrowing rate is not unreasonable, but the real challenge is scaling up revenue. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuke reports.
Central at this special media briefing in the State House is Nigeria's economic recovery and growth trajectory. Addressing concerns about Nigeria's excessive borrowing, the finance minister admits it is not misplaced, but explains that Nigeria cannot tackle its infrastructure challenge without resorting to external help.
The level of borrowing is not unreasonable, it's not high. if we say we will not borrow, and therefore we will not build rails and major infrastructure until our revenue rises enough, then we will regress as a country. We will be left behind. We won't be able to improve our business environment, and our economy will not grow. So we just need to make sure that when we borrow, and the president has ensured that we're doing that when we borrow, we're applying the borrowing to specific major infrastructure that will enhance the business environment in this country.
Total borrowing of the country as at 31st December 2020 is nearly 25% of the GDP. But perhaps the encouraging news is that the non-oil sector contributes 95% to the nation's GDP.
The oil sector contribution is just 5%. So by any term or any description you take it, the Nigerian economy is already diversified. But what we want to do is to increase the quantum, the size of investments and revenue that the non-oil sector yields to the Nigerian economy.
A supplementary budget is also expected to provide financing, according to the minister, for the COVID-19 vaccination rollout by next week.
But what we have in the budget is not enough. So we are working with the health authorities to prepare a plan that will be taken to, and we have already Mr. President's approval to do this, that will be taken to the National Assembly for a supplementary budget specifically for COVID-19 vaccination.
The finance minister dropped the hint that she would seek approval at the Federal Executive Council to compel ministries, departments and agencies to purchase only locally made vehicles. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
For the rest of the business news, here's Teniola Shobowale.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma. The federal government has announced plans to hire an asset manager for its new Infrastructure Corporation of Nigeria Limited, which is designed to raise as much about $37 billion or 15 trillion naira to help fund projects across the country. This is coming less than 2 weeks after President Muhammadu Buhari approved a 1 trillion naira initial seed capital for the infrastructure company, which will be set up under a public-private partnership. Some firms such as KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, McKinsey, as well as Boston Consulting Group have already expressed interest in getting the role of asset managers for the company. Analysts say Nigeria needs at least $3 trillion over the next 30 years to close its infrastructure deficit. Global liquefied natural gas demand is expected to almost double to 700 million tons by 2040, and that's according to Royal Dutch Shell. In its latest annual LNG market outlook, the oil giant mentioned that Asia is expected to drive nearly 75% of the expected LNG demand growth as domestic gas production declines. Last year, China and India led the recovery in demand for LNG as they increased their imports by 11% to 67 million tons after taking advantage of lower-priced LNG to boost domestic gas production following the outbreak of COVID-19. Now, a federal high court sitting in Abuja today struck out 3 cases filed by Owando PLC and some of its directors against the Securities and Exchange Commission for lack of jurisdiction. The court struck out the case in a judgment delivered by Justice Folashade Olubunmi Giwa Ogunbanjo. In delivering its judgment, the federal high court ruled that it cannot assume jurisdiction to entertain a matter where the subject falls outside its jurisdiction under the guise of enforcing fundamental human rights. Owando PLC and 3 of its directors had prayed the court to hold that their fundamental human rights were violated because, according to them, the SEC did not give them fair hearing in investigating some petitions the markets regulator received in 2017 from some shareholders of the company. Nigeria's stock market fails to sustain the recent consecutive rebound recorded this week, and Ekaite Afia tells us what happened at the close of today's trading at the domestic bourse.
Thanks for joining us for the Stock Market Report. The moderate uptrend recorded in the last two sessions this week at the NSE was short-lived as investors switched back to profit-taking on some high-value equities in today's trading session. Well, I'm sure we did not expect to see the bear resurface so soon with its red color, but it seems to have been attracted by recent gains. And as a result, the market's value dropped below the 21 trillion naira level, down by about 65 billion naira, while the main index fell by 0.31%. Now, the downturn recorded today came as a surprise despite the dynamic nature of the market. And that's because traders had forecast that the rebound would continue for the remaining days of February. Instead, sell pressure was felt by 24 equities across the bank, consumer goods, as well as the oil and gas sectors. And this comes largely due to losses in the share price of key components from those counters. Meanwhile, the volume of shares traded today was slightly lower when compared to previous sessions, as over 326 million shares changed hands in more than 4,500 deals, with the shares of Transcorp as the major contributor. Now, Friday will be the last trading day for the month, so let's keep our fingers crossed for the outcome. That's all for the Stock Market Report. I'm Akaite Afia. Back to you.
And that's business news tonight. It's back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks, Teniola. The United States is preparing to release a declassified intelligence report likely to implicate Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince over the controversial murder of US-based journalist and critic Jamal Khashoggi. According to the White House, President Joe Biden will speak soon to the Saudi king. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Princess Latifa, the captive daughter of Dubai's ruler, has appealed to UK police to reinvestigate the kidnapping of her older sister from a Cambridge street more than 20 years ago.
I'm a hostage and this villa has been converted into a jail all the way.
In a letter, Princess Latifa tells the police this could help free Princess Shamsa, who was captured on the orders of their father. Shamsa, who was just 18 then, is now 39 and has not been seen in public since. A High Court judge ruled in 2019 that Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum had abducted both daughters and held them against their will. Australia has passed a world-first law aimed at making Google and Facebook pay for news content on their platforms. The legislation had been fiercely opposed by the US tech giants, with Facebook blocking all news content to Australians over the row. Facebook agreed to reverse its decision after robust negotiations with the government, which led to changes to the law to address some of their concerns. The law is seen as a test case for similar regulation around the world. Facebook and Google had earlier argued the law fundamentally misunderstands how the internet works. Meanwhile, Facebook has banned Myanmar's military and its affiliates from its platforms. The company said it acted after deciding the risks of allowing the Myanmar military on Facebook and Instagram are too great. The military has used Facebook to boost its claim of voter fraud in the 2020 election. Facebook had just days earlier already banned the military's main page for breaching its guidelines following the coup on February the 1st. Violent protests continue in Niger after the former president Mohamed Ousmane declared himself the winner of an election in defiance of the official results. On Tuesday, the Election Commission said the ruling party's candidate, Mohamed Bazoum, was victorious with more than 55% of the vote. However, Mr. Ousmane says he won with 50.3% and called on his supporters to mobilize. An observer mission from the Economic Community of West African States said the vote was held under free, fair, credible and transparent conditions. The election result still needs to be certified by the Constitutional Court. Armenia's Prime Minister has warned of an attempted military coup after the country's armed forces said he and his cabinet must resign. Nikol Pashinyan was later seen marching with supporters in the capital, Yerevan. The army earlier said the Prime Minister was no longer able to make reasonable decisions after he sacked a top military commander. The Prime Minister has faced mass protests after losing last year's conflict with Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh. The state funeral of the Italian ambassador to the Democratic Republic of Congo, killed near the border with Rwanda, has been held in Rome. The ambassador, Luca Attanasio, his Italian police bodyguard, Vittorio Lacovacci, and their Congolese driver, Mustafa Milambo, were killed on Monday when the UN convoy they were travelling in was ambushed. Italy's new Prime Minister, Mario Draghi, was among the mourners at the funeral service. The Congolese government has blamed a Rwandan Hutu rebel group, the FDLR. The rebels have denied the allegation. Rescue teams in Indonesia are searching for survivors after a landslide in an illegal gold mine area killed at least 3 people, with more feared dead. Teams of police, military and the local disaster agency deployed heavy machinery to help the search, with at least 15 survivors found. The landslide occurred on Wednesday evening in the village of Buranga after days of rain, with at least 5 people still missing. And finally, in a bid to make cargo shipping more environmentally friendly, a company has gone back to basics with the use of a sailboat to ship cargo to and from France and the Americas. Chocolate and coffee manufacturer Grande Sail put the sailboat in service for a first inter-Atlantic trip to deliver and import goods, including cacao beans for chocolate production. The sailboat started its maiden voyage in November and docked in New York City in December to deliver 15,000 bottles of organic French wine. It then set off to the Dominican Republic, where staff collected 33 tons of cacao beans before heading back to France. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to Channel Studios in Lagos.
Thanks a lot, Simon. One more security story. Hoodlums have set a police station ablaze in Mbise local government area of Imo State. According to the Imo State Public Relations Officer, the police station was razed, but no lives were lost and no arms taken away. He says the Commissioner of Police, Nasiru Mohammed, has swung into action, ordering officers to go after the perpetrators.
Welcome to Sports News. CAF presidential candidate Patrice Motsepe admits he is overwhelmed by the support he has received from Nigeria in his quest to choose the continent's football ruling body top position. Mr. Motsepe told our South African Bureau Chief Betty Dibia that Nigeria will play a key role in CAF if elected.
Nigeria, for us, even as little boys and young boys, is very special. I was saying during the press conference, every time Nigeria wins, particularly at the World Cup and when they won the Olympics in 1996, that was a moment of pride and a moment of happiness for all Africans on the African continent as well as worldwide. I'm confident that if I'm honored and privileged to be elected, Amaju will play a very important role in terms of guiding what contributions we can make to make sure that Nigerian football continues to be globally competitive.
Meanwhile, the president of the South African Football Association, Danny Jordan, wants Africa to push for a joint bid to host the 2030 FIFA World Cup. Mr. Jordan, who played a major role in the success story of the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa, says the continent also has the option of hosting the FIFA Women's Senior World Cup, which is yet to be hosted by any African nation. Finally, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang rescued Arsenal's Europa League campaign from the jaws of defeat as his late winner secured a dramatic 3-2 victory over Benfica in Greece. Arsenal were staring down the barrel of defeat at the round of 32 stage for the second successive season after Diogo Goncalves' stunning first-half free kick and Rafa Silva's second after a costly error gifted Benfica the advantage after Aubameyang's opener. The collapse left Arsenal with half an hour to salvage their season, and they rose to the challenge in thrilling fashion. And that's it on Sports News. Ijama, back to you.
Thank you, Olumide. And the main news again. President Muhammadu Buhari today vowed to continue to deal with bandits, insurgents and kidnappers terrorizing Nigerians. He made the comments at a forum between northern governors and traditional leaders in Kaduna. Also today, the Niger State governor said the federal government has abandoned them in efforts to rescue the 41 persons abducted from the Government Science College, Kagara. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Do have a good night.